Greg Sankey takes to the podium? What stands out about his visit with the media to you as we broadcast live from SEC Media Days in Dallas, brought to you by WorkTrucksLLC.com. That's Work Trucks with an X, and Volunteer Automotive Group. That's VolAuto.com. Caleb, what stood out about Greg Sankey's visit with the media?
Well, this is a big one, and this is very underrated, but they've partnered with Apple, basically, to give all 16 teams iPads to replay game footage on the sideline. Now, this is huge because this way they can, if I'm not mistaken, they can look at the footage to challenge something before the next play is run now. And that's a big deal. So, right now, coaches, don't they have to ask the player, hey, did you fumble the ball? Break it down? And the player will give his thought. I think they can actually look at the replays now before they challenge, which is a huge benefit. It's a way to get it right. I think Apple CEO Tim Cook graduated from Auburn, and this is where this partnership is going. This is actually something really good that Greg Sankey is doing. And so that's the SEC getting way out ahead of the curve for that. Another thing he mentioned is...
Can I be honest with you on that note?
Sure.
I have a feeling that this isn't about just the SEC. I have a feeling that this is one of those things that you implicate, and then when you break off and create a super conference, you say, oh, we're going to be good guys. We'll give them some iPads, those lower level schools. We'll pitch into them. I think this is a preemptive strike at those that are going to say, what is wrong with the power brokers that destroy traditional college football? Is that too conspiracy laden? Is that crazy?
No, that's not. That's very intriguing.
Hey, little Johnny, sorry you couldn't come to the party, but here's a sucker, which is essentially an iPad, which is in the dollars we're talking about. A sucker is more expensive than an iPad.
Well, maybe they're tied to this quote by Greg Sankey, because he said at SEC Media Days, he was asked about, the context of private equity-backed super leagues and things like that, which has been talked about in college football. And he said, quote, there's no easy button. There's no magic pill. Made it very clear that there's no ceding authority of college athletics to outside actors. But he says that amidst the partnership with Apple. So I'm like, are we sure you're not soliciting Apple as a private equity backer of a super league you want to start? I'm just saying that's possible.
Okay. This also opens it up for, instead of that TriStar thing that they have on the shoulder, to have an Apple on the shoulder. Are we close to the point where we're going to see sponsors on jerseys?
I mean, yes. I mean, technically, yes. You're very close to that.
Are you okay with that?
No, but I was never okay with, the logo of the brand anyway. I don't know why Nike or Adidas has to make the jerseys, or as opposed to just the school make the jerseys. So that's already, if you think about it, kind of a sponsorship on its own. So
it is definitely. It's just a weird situation in which you have an exchange of products and that sort of thing. But I'm talking about a straight up, like I've got our own Stacey Oliver, who covers Tennessee baseball for us. She's a big Braves fan. I've tuned into the Braves a time or two, and I've seen them with that big yellow patch on the arm. Quick greet, and they make it yellow and stand out so that it stands out. I don't want that in college. I'm sorry, that's too far. Because what if that one sponsor, that one advertiser ends up being Madoff Investment Group? You don't want somebody besmirching your 100+ year of tradition by questionable business tactics. That to me is way too far, and I've officially entered old fuddy-duddy category. I can tell by Caleb's look in his eye.
No, you're not old fuddy-duddy on this. A lot of younger people don't like this. This is the truth. You can't like capitalism and hate this. This is called capitalism. This is called markets. This is how things work. Sponsorships is a part of it. So you either dislike this and you're a socialist, or you like it and you're a capitalist, but you can't hate.
Okay, wait a second now. Philosophical debate, maybe deep. aren't college sports supposed to be socialist?
The Supreme Court has officially made clear that's not the case anymore. They struck that down with NIL. They said it can't be socialist. They said that's robbing athletes, and they said the NCAA to pretend that it's amateurism when they're raking in millions is laughable. Now, you can maybe make the argument. You can make this argument. It's not amateurism, but it could be socialist because there's equal distribution of revenue, and those aren't the same thing. That's possible. It's up to the courts to decide. But as of right now, it's full-on capitalist. One other thing I wanted to bring up I want to make this clear, and Dave, you'll agree with me. Greg Sankey at one point said, we're 16 teams today, 16 teams tomorrow. People think that means no expansion is happening. That does not mean no expansion is happening, does it? That's just Greg Sankey saying nothing.
Right.
And
it could happen. It could happen next week.
Yeah, exactly. So he was asked about the ACC issues and the litigation, and here's what he said. How closely do I monitor what's happening in the ACC? Yes. What are the implications? I pay attention. As I said, we're focused on our 16. As I said before at Media Days, I'm not a recruiter. Dave, I'm sorry. That just sounds like him saying nothing, but him really saying, yes, I'm obviously trying to go after the ACC teams, but we're going to see what happens.
I think it probably is. Do you think that we'll hear of expansion in this calendar year?
I think we're going to hear of expansion in this calendar month, so 2 weeks. 2 weeks, we will be hearing of expansion in this month. There will be something that happens.
Okay, I want to ask you why you say later this month, because I think if it happens, it'll actually be this week. But our poll question is new and on board, and it ended with the new TriStar jerseys are okay, dope, about 54% to 45% of the vote. Would you be okay with a jersey sponsor like Major League Baseball or the NBA for the balls? And people are starting to go a little bit crazy for that already. The choices are yes, cash is king, no, too tradition laden. So we'll get your thoughts on that, Caleb. As why do you say end of the month or 2 weeks for a possible conference expansion? What is the deal with the timing? So you're at August 1, July 31st in there.
By the end of the month. It could happen tomorrow, and it could happen by the end of the month.
Right. Oh, I wasn't expecting you to pick the day.
Because again, I agree with Josh Pate in the way he said it. He broke the story, and there's been a lot of reports that a bombshell is expected this month. Media days began last week with the Big 12. That's when you heard the leaking of the Big 12 maybe getting FSU and Clemson. By the way, Dave, you're right. I think the Big 12 was leaking all of that because they wanted the coverage. I don't know if that's actually true. We could hear a bombshell this week that the SEC is adding FSU and Clemson. We don't know. We could hear it that the Big 10 may be next week during media days. But with media days underway and with the reports of the bombshells and with the obvious fact that Florida State and Clemson went out of the ACC and that they're not even hiding it, I think that there is something that could be down the pipe very, very soon. And for those who don't realize, they wait till things like media days to announce these things because they want to make the biggest splash possible when they do.
Yep. Very true. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if it happened this week. Past that point, once Texas and Oklahoma happen, you shouldn't be surprised if anything happens. I think you're right, but I think it's for a different reason, which you alluded to. Brought to you by the Hemp House, the premier hemp dispensary online with a wide variety, great selection, and strict standards to ensure you only receive the best in CBD or Delta products. Hemp House Chat with 2Ts.com. Hemp House Chat with 2Ts.com. Use the promo code HOOK for 10% off. HOOK for 10% off. I think it's as simple as this. I think it's just the timing. When it came out of Big 12 media days that Florida State and Clemson were trying to make moves and that sort of thing, I think that was a big news balloon floated out there to see who else might jump on board. And I think with some people perhaps outside the Big 12, that was leaked as a way to protect some current schools and get them in a bigger conference if the Big 12 ends up being on the outside looking in. So, Caleb, that's my reason is timing. I just thought it was very odd to hear of realignment from a media days, plural, in the Big 12 right before the ACC and SEC and Big 10 have theirs.
Yeah, I thought so too. And at first I'm like, maybe I took the report at face value and I shouldn't have because it happened during Big 12 media days. So it could easily be something that the Big 12 leaked to try to steer a narrative of some sort. Maybe they did that to see if what if they did this? What if the Big 12 leaked that because it was Big 12 media days and they wanted other teams that are potentially high profile teams just to see if they would take an interest in joining the Big 12?
Quite possible. Just I see what you're saying. Get the ball rolling that there could be realignment and see who's up. So maybe you're looking for Florida State and Clemson, but they can't make the move. So you get somebody else that gets motivated.